Don't miss.
I was recently watching Impulsive episode 356, and there was a certain segment that caught my attention, and I wanted to give my opinion on it. So here we go.
Really, I think you're so giant with your words, you really don't know what you step on when you say things. Like really, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way or trying to pull at you. I think that you have so much going on in your life and you're so power driven that you will mow past your friends and family without knowing.
If I say something, I've said it intentionally.
So right there, what I think George means is that when you're in flow state, your focus is solely on completing the next task, and due to that forward drive, you hardly have any time to analyze if any damage is being done to those surrounding you, which is a fair statement, because if we're to analyze Logan's success, to achieve that level of success, he probably has to operate at that level where he does not have much time to check his surroundings. But it is highly essential because we become successful not just on our own, but also due to the support of those surrounding us. So it is highly essential that we take a step back and check in on them and figure out if the actions we're taking individually is positively or negatively affecting them.
And that
unless I'm drunk. But can you say something? I'm sure you sound pretty
might be too loud.
Specific in your recollection of your memory right now. Can you give an example of
one that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus. That one hurt me.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you.
No.
So just from watching the podcast over time, a couple of times I've watched it, we're aware that George is deeply holds Jesus in his heart. So automatically comments directed at that which he holds most dear will be tremendously hurtful, especially coming from someone he considers to be his brother.
Which is true.
No, you didn't. I won't stand down. No, you didn't.
You think I said you need a therapist because you believe
I checked
in
you and I
Jesus?
said, what did you just say to me? And you said, what did I say? And you stumbled. And you're like, I don't know. What would I say? You fumbled. I'm not backing down from this.
It is common knowledge that you don't interpret reality like reality happens. Mm-hmm. And you heard that incredibly wrong. You think I said you need a therapist because you believe in Jesus?
What do I need a therapist for then?
Jesus is...
Okay, so George knows exactly what was said, hence why it was painful to swallow. Now, in my personal opinion, Logan might have realized that the comment he made proved to be more damaging than constructive. But his ego, because from the conversation we can tell that he has an ego. His ego would not allow him to admit that he was wrong. Therefore, he had to kind of reframe the whole conversation by placing blame on George for misinterpreting his statement. So George is the wrong one. He wrongfully misinterpreted what Logan wanted to say.
Isn't it doing it for you? And I
what do I need a therapist for?
I don't believe you're as emotionally mature as you could be.
Then what do I need Jesus for? What do I need a therapist for?
To get you to level up.
In what?
Yourself.
In what category? So when you think George needs a therapist, what category am I falling under?
Emotional intelligence.
Me.
Yes.
I'm not emotionally intelligent. Could you pick a time and frame any day of our life?
Here's one. 3 weeks.
And at this point, I felt that we can conclude that George makes a conception that is not said out loud, but admits perhaps he might have wrongfully perceived the statement. And because he cares about Logan's opinion, he grants him the opportunity to explain what he meant for better understanding.
Weeks ago, when you were sitting in that chair, you stormed off this exact podcast because you were upset about something a comedian said.
No, I was upset that I finally discussed.
Listen, I just answered your question. I'm not looking for rationalization about the thing. I just answered your question.
Also,
so
you said in the past that you like it when people storm off. So I asked you, if I get upset and I want to storm off, is it cool? And you said absolutely.
Georgie, you left, bro.
I'm going to jump in on that one. I'm not sure that that's representative of emotional intelligence. What happens in content is content, bro. It could be entertainment. There's a million.
Mike has a point here, because if you're part of a conversation, and you're feeling disrespected at that particular moment in time, you could either defend yourself or remove yourself from the situation. You shouldn't allow disrespect to prevail in your presence, especially if it's about you, of course. I think George decided, instead of me staying here and ruining the podcast, let me just remove myself from the situation And I believe that Logan interpreted that as lack of emotional intelligence, I guess.
Things that could happen there.
So should I cite another
I'm
example?
just. I mean, you can. Yeah, I'm going to jump in occasionally as a guide here.
As a mediator.
Yes.
Also, like these type
Even
of
though you told me
conversations
that I
should be
can't.
behind closed doors.
I don't
Juice.
I think every single person on this planet could really benefit from therapy.
I do agree. And what did I say? I said, yeah, I would love that. And I think
it would be great for you. I really do.
No, I agree, but I don't think saying, even, okay, hypothetically, say you truly did in your heart feel like I needed a therapist.
Which I do.
Okay, but that was the first time we ever brought it up. Do you feel like bringing my higher power or something that I fall in love with, to use an example for failing me, to use as leverage for me to get a therapist? Do you think that is something a loving human being would say to somebody?
I love you, and I don't think...
I think what George meant there is that he was asking, is it fair to use something I love as justification for me getting a therapist? But there were so many word confusions there that it probably would have missed the question.
I think Jesus is evolving you in a way that you could be.
That's fine to say that, yes.
It's coming from a place of love. I want
can-
you to be the best person that you could possibly be. And for what I've examined and witnessed in your behavior, I don't think the prayer is doing enough. I think actual conversation with a medical professional will help you learn and discover a lot more about yourself that may open up a bit more wavelengths in your brain to become the person that you want to become.
Got you. Now, here's my other question.
To Logan's defense, not everything we love maximizes our potential. Sometimes that which we love may be the thorn that denies us the comfort of settling into the individual that we're meant to be.
Did anyone here in this room at all, realistically, know I was going through something?
When?
Mike.
I did.
When the 2 years that I had the hardest years of my life was this past 2 years. Did anybody here know this?
If you didn't tell anyone, how would we know that?
Well, one, I call every one of you guys and check in on you. No one checked in on me. Mike, you checked in on me the first time I called you. Yes, I'm going through things. And I will admit, Mike consistently checked in on me afterwards. The only person that was there wasn't family, wasn't friends, wasn't coworkers. It was my Jesus Christ. And he's the one that...
Not even your girl, Belle?
Belle didn't know.
So, Georgie, are you...
There's some people that can't express,
you
bro.
don't,
Like
you're asking...
I think at this point we realize what the main issue is. I mean, the conversation this has only been probably, how many minutes? Probably 2-3 minutes. Regardless of what was in between, George came back to the same opening statement from this video where he was mentioning that sometimes Logan is just so driven that he forgets his surroundings or forgets that his actions may negatively be impacting someone. Hence why George is stating, listen, do you even know what I was going through? Once again, hammering it. Do you even know what I was going through? Once again, placing emphasis on sometimes the actions you take might negatively impact those around you. From George's point of view, he obviously feels that I constantly check in with everyone. Why do you not check in with me? Especially since we're brothers. You didn't check in on me, but Mike did. Thank you, Mike, for checking in on me. Why did you not check in on me? And Logan, of course, being in that driven state, he won't find that significant because he's just solely focused on what's next. Let's keep on going.
Asking for a babysitter. You're 29.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you can't knock something that I've gone through and helped save me.
I'm not knocking that.
But you
at
don't
all.
know the steps that I took. And there's a lot of people, I believe that the Bible would weigh more than a therapist. And that's my belief. I truly believe that. Because I believe there's a lot more wisdom in the Bible than a human being that's dealing with their own drama could give me pointers on. Do I feel like it's pointless to have a therapist? Absolutely not. That's why
there's probably merit in that. And I think I agree with you. I do. Leaving the Bible up for interpretation, which it is, people are going to read it differently, right?
Yeah.
So while it may be really beneficial for you, way more beneficial than a therapist, it might not be for someone else. That one-on-one conversation with another human, a practice that has been proven to work.
Not for everybody.
Not for everyone. Not for.
And as you can see, over time, I think Logan realizes that perhaps how he was wording certain things were not fully connecting with George, and he chose to rephrase. I believe what he just said, what he just finished saying, being not, well, that which is good for someone is not necessarily good for you. I think that's the level that George understands, and, well, props to Logan to realizing that a little bit later in the conversation, because if you were to listen from the beginning, it may seem as if he's not listening, but making that statement, it shows that he was listening and he needed to backtrack a little bit and perhaps rephrase how he was potentially saying things.
For everyone.
Same as
Correct.
faith doesn't work for everybody.
Correct.
Everybody's going to find a practice that works best for them.
I know, and I know George, and I know very well.
Yeah.
And I know you could benefit a lot from a therapist.
Okay. And noted.
See, okay, noted. He was thinking about it, and he realized, okay, perhaps this was rephrased a little bit better to a context or in a sense that I could understand what he means. Perhaps he does want what's best for me. Okay, I understand.
Do feel like, and no disrespect to anybody, I think when it comes to emotional intelligence, I think I'm the smartest one here. When it comes to emotional intelligence, I'm sorry. And I will say this confidently in front of all of you guys.
I'm happily willing to bow out.
I know when it comes to emotions, I'm the first one to notice things and handle things, and I privately handle things. I've had private conversations.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation about emotional intelligence. But that was my take on that short segment of the whole podcast. You guys can go on and continue watching the whole thing on their platform. But yeah, we out, gang. We out.
Yeah, hey, Tony Franco, it's a wave.